welcome to Freedom 106.5 FM, Miss Bartholomew.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm very well, thank you.
Yeah, and we were briefing off air and you were telling me a part of your story, but let me first start off by asking, how are you feeling today?
I feel great.
And mentally.
No, very well, very
yes?
well. Yeah.
So you're very positive about your journey thus
Oh,
far.
absolutely, absolutely. I was just saying to somebody this morning, I was thinking, suppose I hadn't been diagnosed with cancer, where would I be now? Running around like a headless chicken, I think. It has centered me in many ways.
Yeah. And off air I said the word journey, I believe it was, and you said...
You said battle.
Battle, yes, the word battle. And you said, no, it's not a battle. And then we were trying to figure out what adjective to give to the story. Did you come up with one?
No.
No.
But the reason I kind of reacted to battle was because it kind of suggested to me that, well, that battle is unique to maybe cancer or breast cancer. We all have many battles in life to deal with. Some of them related to health and some of them related to many other issues. Life's a journey and we get thrown curveballs along the way and we can't predict when they're going to pitch up. So this is a curveball. I like that one.
You like curveball? Yeah, I think I will go with that one as well. Because, like I say, life is full of challenges, and it's how we step up to the plate to deal with our curveball.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So tell me, what was what was your curveball? How was it presented to you?
On the day, maybe.
Yeah. Well, to preface what we were discussing off air, you went in for one issue and found another. Tell us about that story.
Okay, well, I've had, just to backtrack a bit, I've many women have what we call dense breasts or fibrocystic breasts with lumps. And I've known for many years that I had dense breasts, and from time to time I would feel lumps, and they were cysts. No big deal. I'd have it investigated. At one point I woke up one day and I felt a 4 centimeter lump about 8 years ago. I thought, oh my God, how come I'm only noticing this now? I'm a doctor. I'm supposed to feel I'm supposed to be sensitive to these things. And it really, at that time, 7 years ago, it put me into fear. I was paralyzed for 3 days. I couldn't do anything, thinking, oh my God, I've got cancer. What am I going to do? What should I do? And I was literally paralyzed until after about 3-4 days, I thought, okay, Maria, calm down. Call a friend. So I did. I called one of my colleagues and he checked me out, and it turned out to be just a cyst with some fluid in it. So fast track to now, during the pandemic, I feel another lump. So at first I think, it's just a cyst. So I kind of let it sit for about a few days, and then I called a friend and I said, I felt a new lump today. I was not thinking anything sinister at all. She said, finish what you're doing, and at lunchtime, after lunch, go down to the hospital and have it checked out. Call your friend and have it checked out. Have a radiologist look at it. So, I know, of course, it's easier for me to get these things done. I'm a physician, and the friend who I called was a classmate of mine from school, so, I can get fast-tracked. It's not the same for everybody, I know. So he did an ultrasound on my breast, and he said, this one looks different. Let's check it out. So there was a surgeon there at the time. That same afternoon, he put a needle in. He took a little of fluid out from it, and I went back to my office, was seeing patients, and I had 2 patients in front of me, and about 2 hours later I got a call to say that the doctor who looked at it under the microscope saw some bad cells, some malignant cells. So I knew within 24 hours that I had a cancer. My initial response sort of, I think, kind of matter of fact, okay, let's just press on and do what we have to do. The enormity of it didn't really hit me right away. I actually had a meeting an hour later, which I held,
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm not alone in this. This, as you know, I'm sure from talking to people as you have been doing with breast cancer, that it's almost 1 in 8 women who will develop breast cancer during the course of their lifetime.
I'm a little, I don't want to say more interested, that might sound a little harsh, but it is interesting to me, you as a doctor, your reaction to finding the lump and then saying, oh, it's not that important, because many of the other stories we've heard as well, many people saying, they felt it, but they didn't take it seriously. And that's one of the things that doctors tend to advocate the most. As soon as you feel it, go and check it out. It's not a matter of making yourself afraid of becoming anxious, but not to stick on it.
Correct. I mean, my sticking was that day, and 6 years before was just 3 days of sticking. But I did know that, hey, you need to call a friend or you need to see a doctor. The friend that I called 2 years ago was a doctor herself, and she pushed me to go in that same very day. I might have given it another couple of days thinking it was just a cyst again. But yes, so that's an important point for your listeners, that if you do feel something that's different, seek help. Different meaning maybe you feel a lump, maybe you see a little change in the shape of the nipple, or maybe you're experiencing a discharge from the nipple, either bloody discharge or some sort of fluid coming out of the nipple. Maybe it's a little pain that you didn't have before. Now, this is not to say that it's going to be cancer. More often than not, it's not. But check it out. Put your mind at ease, at least.
At least, yeah.
And check it out.
Another question coming to you. What can you say or share as a moment or experience that has been particularly challenging during your cancer journey?
In the initial stages, fear and anxiety. I think probably being a physician doesn't help, because it sometimes can go to the worst. I've never had the courage to sort of read up about it. So one of my doctors who's looking after me asked me if I didn't read up on X, Y, or Z about the condition. I said, no, I'm the patient. I can't bring myself really to read on the details of it. I'm dependent on you for guidance. But initially, fear, has it spread beyond? I'm going to face surgery, fear of surgery. Just lying in the CT, when you're diagnosed, once the diagnosis is made, it's made by a biopsy. So the doctors will numb the area and put a little needle into the area where the lump is and take a little piece, and that's called a biopsy. That's nothing to fear about that. That's painless. That's the way it's confirmed, and once it's confirmed, then next question is it contained to the breast, or has it spread beyond? Has it spread to the lungs? Has it spread to the liver? Has it spread to the bones? So then they're going to ask you to do a CT scan, and you have to lie down on the machine. Again, this is not a painful exercise. They will inject some dye in, and you do get a sort of strange feeling when the dye is being injected, but that's transitory. But while you're lying there in the scanner machine, you're thinking, oh my gosh, what are they going to find?
Yeah.
I mean, so the morning you get up to go for your CT scan, there's fear, there's anxiety, And for some people, for me, luckily, there was no spread. It was contained to the breast. They did find another mass in my thyroid gland, which was incidental, which I had to have operated on as well. But fortunately, that was benign. But it's left me with a croaky voice. So I apologize to you and your listeners.
No problem.
That I have this croaky, sexy voice.
So, just to clarify, the operation damaged your vocal cord a bit.
It damaged the nerve that supplies the vocal cords. So only one vocal cord moves. So some days are good voice days and other days are a little croaky.
But we don't mind. Just have to pay attention a little harder. That's all.
That's it.
And one of the other questions coming is, what brings you comfort and strength during a time like this? Now, I'm still baffled over the part of a doctor basically going through with your knowledge of
being on the other side of the
being
fence.
on the other side
Yes,
of the fence.
exactly. And that probably made me more anxious in the initial phases. But that's a great question. You know, it's so important to be surrounded by positivity. And that was a big help, having positivity from friends and family around you. Okay, that's number one. The other thing that helped to center me was meditation, which I had done many years ago, and then I forgot about it. And during my chemo days, and it was the height of the pandemic, so I spent a lot of time looking at TV, just lying down really, and reading. And I was given this book on meditation 3 years prior. I said, you know what, let me read this thing. So I started reading it and started practicing again. And then I got in touch with the person who had given me a book to discover Sister Ruth Montreshaw, that she actually runs a meditation center, a form of Christian meditation. And that helped a lot with fear, because you really have to take it one day at a time. And that's another thing to say to people, and I say to patients, look, we're taking this one day at a time. Some of us will get the news that we have cancer and it hasn't spread. Great, so some of us can be cured, but not all of us. Some of us, unfortunately, might be diagnosed with the cancer at a later stage, where the spread already may be to the lungs or the liver. But there's still a lot that can be done to help. The science is moving very quickly, and then new drugs coming on stream all the time. And even people who have a diagnosis at a later stage are surviving longer than they did in the past. So there's always hope. And you really just have to take one day at a time. And techniques such as meditation, exercise, being with friends, listening to music. At first you don't want to do those things, but you know they help. And being around positive energy helps you just to take it one day at a time. And that helps with assuaging the fear.
Helps with the fear. Well, TNT, it is 10:39 in the nation's capital. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we will talk more with Dr. Bartholomew and her journey through this terrible disease. Trinidad and Tobago, we're inside Human Impact and Freedom 106.5 FM, and in our celebration and recognition of Breast Cancer Month, we are doing a series called It Doesn't Define Me, where we speak to warriors and survivors and also those who are midst of their journey to find out, what carries them through, what motivates them, and to give an idea of support to those who are, I don't want to say afraid, but who are going through the journey and are concerned about what to do. And in studio we have with us Dr. Bartholomew, who is on her own journey dealing with her curveball, as she's described it earlier when we started. So I have a question for you again.
Sure.
Are there any positive moments or personal victories you'd like to share from your journey?
Lots of positive moments. When I was first diagnosed, I remember I was speaking to His Grace Archbishop Gordon. I just informed him about my diagnosis after Mass one day. And he pulled me aside and said, come inside and chat. And I told him that I'd just been diagnosed. And he said, cancer can be a gift. And he was right, It certainly forced me to stop and reprioritize my life, to slow down, stop and smell the roses. If you want to go to a concert, go to the concert. Don't say, well, maybe next year I'll go to it. Do it now. Time with family. I've reorganized it's a work in progress, but I've reorganized my work schedule so that I'm pacing myself better. So it's forced me to adjust to my work-life schedule in a good way. And you suddenly realize there's a lot that we fret about that's just not important. You know? And so in a way I'm grateful. I don't regret having been diagnosed with breast cancer. Now, suppose I had been diagnosed with more advanced cancer, that I might have, my thoughts might have been different. But that said, you know, even in just my work and also I have friends with advanced cancer. So this is something I'm dealing with all the time with other people. And I am amazed by people who are facing in the terminal phases, by their resilience and grace, many of them, and how many of them use the time to reinforce and affirm the love that they have for others, to bury hatchets. You know, so even if people are diagnosed at late stage and with bad disease, there's still opportunity within that. You know, I've also seen people not use the opportunities, but I've also seen people use the opportunity of their journey in their final days, use those opportunities so well and avail of them. So even if my story is a good story so far, because it's been contained, but even so, it does bring you a deeper awareness of your mortality. And you think about it every day, which you wouldn't normally. But not in a bad way, because it brings about a certain urgency for things that matter. You know? An urgency.
Priorities a whole
That's
lot
right, that's right. An urgency for wanting peace around you. And that's an important thing for people going through these challenges. During the initial stages especially, you not only do you want positive energy and support from friends, but you also want peace and serenity around you. So if there are warring family members, you want peace there. And as you move on and you have more acute awareness of your mortality, you want to see peace and serenity in your own family. And you're reminded of the importance of affirming love.
Well, you kind of covered the next question I have for you. How do you cope with fear and uncertainty about the future? And basically your answer for the previous question gives an idea of how you deal with that. You want to be more present in your situations and in your dealings with people, peace, serenity, and that is the absence of fear. When fear is not there, you have those things.
That's correct.
Yeah.
So I'm not looking way down the road.
Right. Just looking at this moment right now.
Yes.
Yeah. And your faith has a lot to do with your groundedness, I believe.
Yes, and that's another journey, you know, and that's a journey in progress, you know. But I remember being given a little short prayer, 4 words, during the time of my chemo. Let go, let God. That's it. I remember one night when I woke up, I was having a lot of pain. I didn't have the normal nausea and bad feelings with chemo. Chemo isn't the same for everybody.
Yeah.
Some people, it's a walk in the park, no symptoms. They're cool, they're going to work. I bumped up a friend of mine, he was hopping on a plane, I bumped in the airport in between his chemo sessions. Others may have significant side effects. I went to bed the first night with a big red bucket by my bedside because I thought, the vomiting is going to start sometime. It never did. But I did have pain on the second and third nights post-chemo. And it took me by surprise the first time. And I remember that prayer, and that really helped that night. Because what helped me too is that being a physician, I knew that the pain was in my bones and nothing's going to explode. I don't need to jump in the car and go to the emergency room. I knew that nothing bad was going to happen. It's just that the pain was
Intense.
So the only treatment for that is, okay, get in the zone, pray, let go, let God. And everything passes.
And everything passes. Are there positive moments or well, I asked that one already, sorry.
That's okay.
What is the role of your loved ones? What roles do they play in your emotional support and well-being?
Being present, staying calm, positive. I mentioned this before, but I can't say it over. I can't overemphasize it. Positivity. For them, I guess, because I have an understanding of the disease myself, that's sort of, I was the one explaining to them, and I was able to reassure them. I guess I had better tools for that being a physician, that I could reassure them so that they could deal with it, and that I had the language to explain it to them. But they were all very supportive, positive, and I had wonderful friends with great positive energy. We would do fun things. It was my birthday during the chemo, and two of my friends came by. One of them was Dr. Sabga and Dr. Jackie Sabga and Dr. Simon Moses. They're both they're great friends, and Jackie does a lot of work for cancer as well. And it was my birthday during the chemo, and they turned up. It was during the pandemic, so they came with balloons attached to the car, and so there's still room for fun. I mean, my mom is 88 years old, and there she was mothering me. How blessed can you be to have your mom mothering you at my age and at her age, So, you just want family to be with you, be positive, not to be afraid, and to help. And sometimes it's just quiet presence. They don't have. You don't always have to have words. Just presence.
Just being there.
Just being there.
And we're almost to the top of 11 o'clock, but there's a question I would like to ask you in terms of the perspective of from doctor to doctor, any doctors that are listening, seeing as you are a patient, how would you translate it so that the doctor could have maybe a little more empathy and understanding from that perspective? What advice would you have for them?
Right, but before I say that, I want to say a big thank you to all my doctor friends who doctored me. They were so gracious, so generous, both here and abroad. I had my thyroid care abroad, but all my breast care was done here. And, wonderful, wonderful. I was going to say names, but then I'm afraid I might forget names, so I say, let's just say, you guys know who you are and how grateful I am. And as a physician, empathy, and one of the things that a patient said to me the other day, that he highlighted to me that was important, is empathy, but you need time. You need to give the patient that time to be empathetic. And if you're rushed in a consultation, the empathy won't even have a chance. The doctor's empathy won't have a chance to surface. So, to my doctor colleagues, number one, give them the time. Give the encounter the time for empathy to surface. Listen. Listen first. So listen and time. Listening and time. And that will allow empathy to rise.
I appreciate that answer. I appreciate that. And I appreciate you coming into the studios of Freedom 106.5 FM to give us an idea of your journey and sharing it with us. And I really hope we helped someone out there today.
Yes, don't be afraid. You've got this. Better days will come for those of you going through the journey. Those of you who've been through it, reach out. Reach out.
Thank you so much. So we're going to shut down this hour
Thank
here
you.
in Trinidad and Tobago. Thank you for being with me. And in the next hour, we continue in our series on Freedom 106.5 FM. We've joined the community in the fight against breast cancer with our Breast Cancer Week themed It Does Not Define Me. So our special feature, Cancer Warriors, is coming up next right here inside Human Impact.